when you're a kid and you start watching these superhero cartoons, so you say, I want to be Superman. And the kid mind, you don't realize that there's certain laws that you have to abide by, like the laws of physics,
Yes.
otherwise you'll die.
Yes.
And when you're an adult and you become addicted to the same things, it's the same principle, just in an adult context, where you start to think, well, every woman should be able to do this, because you're seeing the 1%, or maybe higher than 1% now, of women who are involved in pornography. And you see that they can do all this, you want them to get in all these positions and to do this and to talk to you a certain way, but that's not who you're with. That's the person who's there. You don't know the depression, you don't know the self-hatred that they deal with off camera. You know, I've spoken with people who were very into that life, and they were dealing with a lot of hatred. They came out of it, some of them did not. Some of them died in
Like
pornography.
Wow.
There are many. You'll find out when you go and do a quick Google search. You can talk to people, and you'll find
these are porn stars that they like died and stuff like that.
Porn stars. Many of them committed suicide.
Wow.
Some of them had drug overdoses. There was a very famous porn star a couple years ago. She committed suicide because of something. She committed suicide because of hatred, self-hatred. She was suicidal. I don't remember her name. A lot of people may know who I'm talking about if you dealt with pornography. Years before that, there was another very famous one. She died of cocaine. And that's another thing too. Strippers, porn stars, you talk to a lot of them. A lot of them are not just in that lifestyle and like this is a job. They're in it and they hate themselves and they hate what they're doing. And to numb the pain, they surround themselves with money. And even bigger than that, they surround themselves with these hardcore drugs.
Yeah.
Whether it be cocaine, whether it be meth, whether it be heroin, whether it be pharmaceutical drugs, so on and so forth. And it's so destructive because, oh my goodness, where do I even start? I guess I'll start here. Me personally, in my life, pornography was very much a very integral factor to me destroying most of the relationships I had with women growing up. Most of them. And like you think that, I'll just have these thoughts towards, women that I want to pursue. But when you try to have a friend, you'll start to sexualize them, you'll start to undress them, you'll start to think like, dang, I want some of that. And if you stay in it long enough and deep enough and you're not checking yourself, what's going to end up happening is you're going to say, I deserve that. I'm entitled to sex. Like there's a lot of men and women too, they think they're entitled to sex. I say primarily men because I'm just keeping it real. So I keep it real. It's much more difficult for a man to find people who constantly want to hook up with them. Women, they have to go through, they might have 10 men, 20 men in a day saying, hey, can I take you out? A man might get that once a week, if they're lucky. Real talk. And that's not to justify it at all, but when you have that kind of dynamic, it makes it very easy for a man to become bitter, because you gotta imagine if a woman is getting 20 men talking to them and she turns down all of them, imagine how many women are turning down men. How many women are turning down how do I put it?
I know what you mean.
You know what I'm trying to say. It's very difficult. So when it becomes that difficult, you start to get frustrated, and this is what leads a man so obsessed with sex that he would come to his mind, well, if no one's going to sleep with me willingly, I'm gonna go out and take it. I'm gonna go out and lay down and I'm gonna rape her. And you'll find a lot of people are like that. There was this one dude, oh my goodness. His name was Stephen McDaniel. I can't remember if that's his last name. It was a very famous case, maybe about 10 years ago. He was very lonely and he had this crush on this woman. He was in college next door to her, and basically what he did is he murdered her. And before he murdered her, he raped her and cut her up, put her in garbage bags all around the campus that was scheduled to be taken care of the next day. And he would have gotten away with it. He would have gotten away with it, but the problem was the garbage man was late. So they found the torso and were able to say, okay, she was killed, and they traced it back to him. It's all on camera. You can go find. I think it's Stephen McDaniel. If I'm not. Yeah, it was really bad. But porn will take you down various aspects, and it may not even necessarily be rape, but it'll completely reconfigure how your mind operates, especially as a man. You'll begin to sexualize every woman in your life. Maybe short of your mother. Maybe short of your mother. I can't speak for myself. I never sexualized my mother, but some men have.
Yeah, they probably have.
Even in the Bible, you'll see that David, one of his sons, he sexualized his sister so much that he raped her, and it says that after he raped her, he despised her because it wasn't her that he was in love with; it was the idea of sleeping with her. So he raped her and said that he despised her in his eyes after the fact. And it's funny that we're saying that because that leads me to my next point. That when you watch pornography, it's something that many doctors would say that it's a good thing to do, and it actually helps relieve stress and helps prevent different things. But that's a lie from the pit of hell itself. It's such a lie, because when it comes to pornography, one thing that pretty much every man can testify to, whether they'll admit it or not, some will, well, many will, some won't, is that pornography, once a man gets done, he finishes off with whatever he's watching, and I mean finishes off, you know what I mean, he starts to feel a level of shame, like, what am I doing here? Why am I watching this? There's a level of clarity that comes, and it's because now you scratch that itch. You start to realize, what have I done? It's like with anger. You might say all types of stuff when you're angry, but the moment you calm down, if you humble yourself, you're like, dang, I shouldn't have said all that. And it's the same with porn. You'll realize I shouldn't have did all that. And it'll really rewire your brain. Like, even though you'll know that it's wrong, you'll still, when the next urge comes, the more you get into, the harder it is to resist the next one. Because that first time you're like, whoa, it's like sex, The first time you have sex is like, whoa. But then you keep having sex with all types of different people. Eventually you're going to get burned. In some cases, more ways than one. You know what I mean? And it's like, you can't play with fire. You cannot play with fire, otherwise you're going to get burned.
Really funny. What the heck?
No, for real. You can't. Some, man. And that's an man.
Okay, wait. Would you say that watching porn and masturbating, would you say that's in some way like linked to people having depression and stuff like that?
Absolutely. And I would say this. How do I word this properly? I'll give you the words. When it comes to depression, a lot of times, I'll use this perspective because I'm married, right? Mm-hmm. There would be some times, and I'm being transparent, I'm a Christian now. This is Christian talking. This isn't unsaved me, this is saved me. Mm-hmm. I was dealing with pornography so bad, even as a Christian who was saved and married, so bad that I would get mad at my wife because, we would have friction and not want to come and connect with her. So I go on pornography and fix myself, quote unquote, and not even acknowledge that I just made the problem worse. Yeah. Because instead of dealing with it head on, I took a quick fix. I took a shortcut. So now you just sweep it under the rug, but you're not really cleaning anything. Yeah. And when you have problems like that, they build up. It starts to mount on your soul. It starts to mount on your soul to the point where it's like, I'm so stuck in this, I see no other option but to keep going. Just like any other drug. And you'll talk to a lot of drug addicts. Like, I remember we were preaching to we talk to a lot of people who smoke weed, and they'll tell you, like, I know this isn't fixing me, but it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And coping mechanisms